Hey there, this is Topa G, and I am coming at you from the digital marketing corner just to talk a little bit about this short tip I believe each and every one of us could benefit from. Because after all, we are all in the business of getting clients, that to be able to make a decent living, more money. So what I'm going to do, we'll be talking about how to call out your ideal client. So my question is, do you know your ideal client? Do you know who he or she is? What does he or she looks like? All right. So on the screen, you see put down 3 different categories of your ideal clients. That is right, because your ideal client falls into 3 different categories. The first one I like to describe as the cold, the second category warm, and the third category, of course, is hot. And before I go into depth on about each of these categories, I just want to make a statement. We as business people or entrepreneurs, sometimes we kind of get sidetracked when it comes to trying to present our offers. It kind of looks like we tend to present it, or to present our offers in front of everybody. Well, in as much as our offer, our special service or products is beneficial for everybody, in the marketing terms, in the marketing sense, that is not a very smart move. Why? Because as you'll see, once I describe the 3 different categories our ideal clients fall under, you'll be able to understand the reason why I say that. Yes, our services, our services or products can be extremely beneficial for everybody. But then when it comes to management in marketing, management of your resources, your time, your money, your effort, it's always a great idea just to target one ideal client one at a time. There's nothing stopping you targeting, subsequently the different other clients, but it's always a good idea to start with your ideal client in mind, just one ideal client in mind, because everything, once you identify your ideal client, everything you do thereon, i.e. the kind of messages you are going to be creating, the kind of content you create would be such that it's centered or crafted around that particular ideal client. Okay, so the 3 different categories ideal clients fall under. I'm going to start with the so-called cold. So the cold ideal client. What do I mean by cold? This basically just means that somebody, even though it's a great fit for your product or your services, is not problem aware. This person is not even aware he or she has a problem. He or she is just living life, the good merry-go-rounder, happy with the way everything is in his or her life. So you're presenting your offer in front of somebody who has no clue that there is a problem in the first place. That it's like, like it's just going to be blank. That kind of person will see your offer and be like, what they're talking about. So that's what I mean when I say cold. The next category, the second category, of course, is the warm. This is somebody that knows there's a problem, but because of the hustle and bustle of life, is still or she is still comfortable with the way things are. The things he or she is using to alleviate the issue or the pain is okay. I mean, that is like being in your comfort zone. Like, sometimes you get discomfort, but then guess what? The comfort zone is still comfortable. So it's okay. There's no urge. There's no incentive, like a quick urge to be like, gosh, I've got to solve this problem. So that's the warm type of client. And of course, we have the third one, which I like to describe as the hot type of ideal client. And this hot client, this is somebody who knows that there's a problem. They are very aware of the problem, but they don't know how to get the solution. Yes, they've seen different things around being thrown at them, like, oh, this is the solution, that's the solution, but they're still waiting. They're waiting for that uh, fantastic solution or offer that's going to be presented to them so that they can be like, you know what, here, take my money. I've been waiting for this for years. I just didn't know how to go about getting it. Right? So this kind of client, or the client that has these characteristics, is what or who you and I should be targeting, first of all. Are we going to leave the cold and warm type clients? Of course not. But first thing first, you want to target those who are problem aware and they know that there is a solution and they actively looking for that solution so that they can take it to improve their lives and get the kind of transformation they're wanting, right? And the thing about the three different characteristics of this ideal client, or should I say these three different client groups, is that they are all in the same bubble, like in the same bucket, what I like to call the red ocean theory. So there is something in the marketing space that we describe as the red ocean, that in essence is where everybody is. Both your cold, your warm, and the hot, all in one big melting pot called the red ocean. And that ocean is so red because there's so many things going on. There's so many activities, the hustling and jostling for survival is going on in that ocean, and it is red. People are bleeding, right? And our job as an entrepreneur or business owner is for you to be able to craft a way that makes sense to draw out the attention of the hot ideal client we're wanting to target immediately. And how do we go about doing that? Bearing in mind the red ocean has your ideal clients, but then it has other types of clients that are not exactly your ideal client. So how do we go about making our ideal client to notice us and our offer? Well, it's not exactly kind of easy to be like, okay, here I am with my fantastic, wonderful product or services or solution. Here we go. I wish life works like that, but it doesn't. It needs some work, some research on our part to be able to get our ideal clients to notice us as well as our offer and services. So the first thing, of course, would be to do what I like to call the analysis. We need to be able to analyze and identify our ideal client. And how do we do that? I'm sure a lot of you are doing that already. When it comes to research, one thing to do is to be able to know where, well, I guess, first of all, you want to know and be able to describe the pain points of your ideal client. But how do you know it if we don't go to where they're at? So the first thing when it comes to research is to join the groups your ideal clients are part of and watch and observe. Observe the kind of messages, the comments, the questions, all the different things being done in the group. Most likely you are able to, you're going to be able to figure out what the pain points are, because when you join different groups, And when I say different groups, the kind of groups that you believe your ideal clients are, you'll be able to see and notice like a kind of trend when it comes to the kind of questions. You'll be able to observe the kind of comments, you know, and all the other interesting stuff that kind of goes on in a typical group. And that, of course, you could do on Facebook. I guess Facebook, I would say, is probably uh, uh, one of the platform that kind of allows you to be able to observe and do research when it comes to getting the pain points of your ideal clients. Sometimes LinkedIn, depending on the kind of service you provide, LinkedIn sometimes, does have those kind of comments as well. You do see people in your niche, depending on who you are connected with or which group you're part of, you'll be able to see the different kind of comments on your news feed. You know, the kind of comments, the kind of engagement people are. Should I say the kind of comments people are making and the different types of engagement you'll be able to see on your news feed. And during the analysis, when we are carrying out a research in order to analyze and identify our ideal clients, this is where you are able to do things like the so-called the ASK method, and that can be in the form of a survey or question. You know, you two being part of the group, asking questions, the kind of questions that's able to help you identify the kind of problems your ideal clients you're wanting to target are having. So that's one way. I mean, I think that's probably one of the easiest way, you know, to engage in the group and ask questions and answer questions and just, you know, make different comments. Those kind of open-ended comments that kind of causes other people to be able to respond so that you're able to see what exactly it's in the, you know, what exactly is the pain point or what are the pain points they're having, what they would love to resolve as soon as possible. And if you happen to have clients already in your business, you can also ask them as well. You know, you can always ask them why, the reason why they decide to work with you. I'm sure there's some qualities they probably notice before choosing you. They might be like, hey, because I know that you are the one that is able, from everything I've seen and heard about you, you are the best person to take me from position A to position D, which I'm wanting to go, and for me to be able to have the so-called transformation I'm wanting to have. So once we analyze, how would I say this? Once we identify our ideal clients, the next thing, of course, is to identify one biggest problem they have that's causing them sleepless nights, something you are able to solve and charge premium for. In order for us to be able to do this, of course, from step number 2, whereby you've been, asking questions, engaging in the different groups, doing the ask method to make a list of all the different things your ideal clients are wanting to solve. So in this next step, where you define the biggest problem your ideal client is facing, what you do, you're going to take all the survey questions, or should I say survey answers, all the different things you've been observing. You are going to make a list of the different problems your ideal client is talking about that they wish they could solve. So once you get all these lists down, now you are going to decide. You take the list, you check all the different things you are able to help them with. You're now going to decide on one biggest problem that you believe you can solve and charge premium for. Because guess what? when it comes to attracting high ticket clients, you have to bear in mind, you have to start thinking, I mean, we all have to start thinking like a business person, like an entrepreneur, that you are not paid for your time. You're paid for the problem you are able to solve. Again, I'm going to say that one more time. You're not paid for your time. You're paid for the problem you can solve. And the bigger the problem, the bigger the demand, and the bigger the price you can command. Right? And there's something about the human nature, I guess, is being proven that human generally tends towards two different things, two different outcomes. First, they want to buy themselves out of a pain. And the second one, they want to buy themselves into something pleasurable, into joy. And when it comes to your ideal client, typically in the marketing sense, your ideal clients are not buying their way into something. Instead, actually, they want to buy their way out of something. I'm sure you're probably going to agree that, usually the reason why most of us decided to start a business, a side hustle, or become an entrepreneur, in addition to whatever it is you're doing already as a profession, it's because you're buying, you want to get out of something. You buy your way out of something, a discomfort, something that's causing you sleepless night, something that's robbing you of the quality time with family, with yourself and stuff like that. So always bear that in mind when doing pricing. I'm not going to talk about pricing, but just something just to bear in mind because when it comes to the mindset, I get clients saying, "Oh my goodness, but I can't charge this. It's just too much." See, you never put or impose your limiting factor, your limiting self-belief on your ideal clients. So there's nothing wrong with charging premium, especially when you know that your offer or your service or your product is going to cause a transformation your ideal client has been waiting for all along. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, after we've listed all the different problems, we've compiled the ones we think is much more viable, something much more credible that we are able to solve. Now you define one clear outcome. And of course, yes, it's got to be specific and measurable, which makes it even more credible when it comes to pricing your offer, your product, and your services. So now, again, you'll have to make a list. You make a list of all the different ways you are able to help your ideal client. So once you make all the lists, now you're going to choose maybe a couple or three, depending on what your niche is, depending on what it is they're wanting to solve, the pain they're wanting to solve. And you put those together, maybe two or three, into one clear solution. And you are going to craft your offer around that three. So in essence, it's going to be like a 3-in-1 type solution that you know that it's not only specific, but it is measurable, something you can measure, something your ideal client is able to see and notice when it comes to getting results. Right. So once we've done that, once we've clarified and determined the solution, that's one solution. Remember, I'm saying one solution, not 10 solutions, because the whole idea is for you to be a specialist, not a generalist. It's just the same terminology when you see GPs or primary care physicians probably getting paid less than a surgeon because they are more of a specialist. So in your business term, you don't want to be solving all the different problems your ideal clients have. You want to take one or two, joining together to make one core offer that you are able to present to the ideal client. And when they see it, they'll be like, yes, this is a no brainer. I think this person knows what they're talking about. Right. So, my next question, how do we get the attention of the hot ideal clients? Bearing in mind, your hot ideal clients, your warm and the cold are all in the same melting pot called the red ocean. So this is where we are going to learn how to throw rocks. That's if you don't know how to throw rocks already. So we are going to throw rocks, but before we do, we would have done all the first few steps I already talked about. You listed the pain, you've listed the solution, you've packaged or taken two or three of the solutions, you've packaged it together in form of one core offer that is sexy and irresistible, so that when your ideal client sees it, they'll be like, wow, that's it. So how do we throw rocks into the red ocean? We throw rocks by carefully crafting content and messages that resonates with only the hot ideal client. The kind of message that kind of strikes a nerve, that strikes a chord once seen. Something that, the kind of message that causes a pattern disruption when seen. And those kind of messages you would be able to craft by all the analysis, the research we've been doing all along, right? And then that message, once crafted, thrown into the red ocean, is able to call out your ideal client, such that your ideal client, who's so problem aware and is looking for a solution, is able to be like, okay, I've raised my hand, I'm raising my hand. I think you're talking to me, you're talking directly to me. It looks like you even know my problem better than I do. And guess what? That is what a careful research does. Careful analysis, research, so that you know the pain of your ideal client inside out, and you're able to describe it even better than the ideal client. And that's it. You present your offer. And how do you present the offer in the first place? Through your content. And then, of course, there are different ways of packaging your messages and your content, such that when the ideal client sees it, naturally they want to give you their email address, so that you can continue to take them through your funnel, I like to call it, through your own solution funnel, which we call in the marketing world your own blue ocean. And of course, the different journey of steps that ideal client who's so ready to give you money is going to take, from being a stranger to one of your raving fans. And that's it, really. I thought I'll share that, so that we are all aware of the importance of knowing who our ideal client is. So instead of us just throwing our services, our products in front of everybody's faces, you'll be able to be, I guess, strategic when it comes to sharing your offer. Because there's no point. I mean, I take myself as an example. I am a ClickFunnels. That is like a platform. A ClickFunnels geek. I love that platform so much. So just imagine somebody else coming to introduce a different platform to me. I'm a geek of this particular platform. So I am probably, or should I say most definitely, the wrong client, another platform, or somebody using the services of another platform. I'm the total wrong prospect to be targeting. Instead, you want to be targeting somebody who doesn't know about platforms or who is wanting to change the platform he or she is currently using to something better. And of course, the only way we will be able to do this is to be able to know the difference between the different characteristics of our ideal client. One that is aware of the problem and aware of the types of solution they want, right? And the other two that are kind of still comfortable with the solution they have at that point in time. But does that mean we're going to ignore those remaining two types of clients, ideal clients? No. There are other things we could do. Something like, emailing them. That's if you have the email address in the first place. You'll be able to email them and be able to showcase your expertise, your knowledge, and teach them things for them to be able to be like, that's interesting. And that way you are slowly warming up, making them more aware of the different solutions out there. And guess what? When they're ready, most likely they are going to first consider you because you've been giving them the nurture type information to make them aware, to help them to be aware of what it is out there, what other possibilities there are when it comes to, something they're using right now.